When we think about a cappella, we usually think of this. What if I told you it could also sound like this? Hello, my name is Cherie. I'm a choir conductor as well as an a cappella coach. I am also the vocal percussionist for 1023, which is a local a cappella group. What does a cappella mean? A cappella basically means performing with a human voice, no instruments, and no backing tracks. In today's context, when we think about a cappella, we often think about pop music covers like those by Pentatonix, or such as in the movie franchise Pitch Perfect. However, did you know that a cappella can also reflect other cultures? Being in Singapore, we are privileged to be exposed to different cultures as well as musical influences. Growing up listening to all these music, we have heard them at weddings, community events, even in the folk songs that are played during National Day. 1023 is very inspired by this diversity, and we strive to incorporate these musical elements in our arrangements. Even though our arrangements follow the Western musical scale in terms of harmony and structure, we try and incorporate the musical instruments and imitations in our arrangements to reflect our Southeast Asian heritage. Here are some examples of how we've included Asian musical elements into a cappella music. Let's start with the percussion instrument. Notice those handheld drums? That is called the kompang, which is a traditional Malay drum. It is one of the most recognizable of the Malay traditional instruments and is very popular in parades as well as wedding processions. Let's hear how it sounds. So here I have with me a kompang, and from the earlier videos you will have noticed that the kompang produces two main sounds. The first, an open tone, is produced by hitting the kompang closer to the rim. It makes a sound sounding a little bit like boom. The second one is produced by hitting the kompang close to the center, and this is a closed tone that sounds a bit like pa. I've drawn inspiration from these opened and closed tones, as well as the traditional Malay interlocking rhythm in our arrangement of this next song. Please enjoy a short snippet of 1023's rendition of our local folk song, Di Tanjung Katong.
Di Tanjung Katong, airnya biru, di situ tempatnya darah cerita.
How about other non-percussive instruments? This is slightly trickier, but it's not impossible to achieve. Originating from India, the tambura is a stringed instrument that produces a rich metallic droning sound. It's often featured as background accompaniment to Carnatic music as well as in supporting the vocalist and other instruments. Now, how do we recreate this with the human voice? There are two components of this. The first is a humming drone. We hold this as steady as possible to mimic the tambura's drone. The second is an overtone that we have in the background of the sound so that it recreates that richness of the metallic sound that the tambura has. You can enjoy it in our rendition of a Tamil medley in this short snippet here. Let's round up with one last example that you can easily try. An instrument that I grew up listening to and have frequently incorporated into 1023 performances is the erhu, which is a Chinese two-string bowed instrument. How we produce this sound comes from the name erhu. If you curl the tip of your tongue up to the roof of your mouth and say er, this is the beginning of the sound. Feel free to try it out for yourself. And if you put the tune to it, it should sound something like this. It takes a little bit of practice to get the correct sound, but it's definitely achievable. Of course, that was just a quick snapshot of all the endless possibilities there are out there. In our region, there are many other a cappella groups who have incorporated Asian musical instruments into their performances as well. In this way, vocal music has become an important tool in preserving our culture and making it relevant and relatable to today's audience. If this video was interesting to you, I invite you to continue playing with your voice, as well as support the regional artists that are out there.